Hi everyone, welcome to Vab Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. Thank you for clicking on this video. If this is your first time on my channel, please kindly hit on the subscribe button to subscribe and also put on your notification bell so you are the first to get notified once I post a new video. And subscription is free, so don't think we are going to be charged anything. It's very free. So I hope you have subscribed already. So in this video, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful Bubu gown with sleeves. And the sleeve, I have two steps flare attached to the sleeves and it's a pleated flare. Can you see how beautiful the sleeve is at the sleeve opening? And I have my lace placed from the shoulder down to the half length. So this means that it's a combination of lace and Ankara. This gown is really beautiful, very simple to make, beginner friendly. I hope this is something you are interested in learning. Kindly stay tuned while we get right into the tutorial. Thank you. So these are the materials we'll be using to achieve our gown. And I have 1 yard of this navy blue lace fabric. And I also have 6 yards of my Ankara fabric. And here is also our crinoline that we'll be using to sew our flare to give it the wavy effect. So the first thing we'll be doing now is to fold over our fabric. And I'm going to be folding widthwise first. I'm going to be using both servages of my wrapper. That's the servage of the wrapper to achieve the width. Ankara comes in length 45 or about 46. So by the time I fold it into two, I'm going to have 22.5. So I'm going to fold it now. So as you can see, I've folded it into two. So this is to achieve the width of the gown. So having folded into two, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fold into two lengthwise also. So that will now give me that fold of into four. So, and the length I am making, the length of the gown I'm making is 60 inches. So 60 plus my hemming allowance of 2 inches, that's 62 inches. So right now I'm going to achieve 62 inches in two places. So the upper part will serve as the front while the down part will serve as the back. So you can see how it is folded. The upper part is there. So I have both center front and center back here. And then at this side, I have the servages, which will serve as the sleeve opening. So basically, the width of this fabric is enough to give me half of the shoulder measurement of my client plus the desired sleeve length. So you can see right now that I have about 23 inches. So this will give me half of her sleeve measurement plus the desired sleeve length. So with that being said, I also have the length of my fabric, which is 62 inches. That's plus hemming allowance. So next I'm going to draw the starting line, which is the shoulder line. And then I'll mark 3 inches on that shoulder line. So from the center front there, I'm going to mark 3 inches. And then at the side where I have the sleeve opening, I'll go there and mark 2 inches. So I'll mark 2 inches at this point. And then I'll use my ruler to slant it to the 3 inches I have there. This is to achieve our shoulder slant. So having done that, now we have our shoulder slant. So having marked our shoulder slant, the next thing we'll be doing is to achieve the neck depth. So the neck depth for the back is 1 inch, and then I'll be using a width of 3.5 inches. So I'll use my curved ruler to draw out the neckline. That's my armhole curve. So now we have our back neckline. It's a depth of 1 inch and a width of 3.5 inches. So for the front neckline, I'm going to be using a depth of 6 inches and of course a width of 3.5 inches, just like the back. So I'm going to be using this part of my curve. I don't want it to be a sharp V neckline. I just want it to be a little curvy, not round neck, but and not still the normal sharp V. So I'm using a neck depth of 6 inches and a neck width of 3.5 inches. I initially marked 5 inches. I changed my mind to increase it to my 6 inches. I want the neck to be a bit downwards. Okay. So now I'll be cutting on the second line, which is the neck depth of 6 inches. That's what I want to use. Okay, so please take note that all my markings are done on the right side of the fabric. That's I'm marking on the right side of my fabric because we're going to be stitching this gown on the right side. So that's why I'm using school chalk so that it's easy for me to clean it, wipe it off with any wet fabric and it just goes off. So right now I place my tape from the shoulder line. I mark the bust point first, the waistline, and then here I'm marking on the hip line. And then of course I'm going to get the full length of the gown, which is what is on the table, plus my 2 inches for hemming allowance. So now you can see we have our vertical measurements. Here's the bust line, the waistline, the hip line. So on the bust line, I'm going to enter quarter of the bust measurement plus 1 inch for ease. Remember I said we are sewing this outfit on the right side. So I'm adding 1 inch for ease. So I enter quarter of the bust measurement plus 1 inch for ease. I'll repeat the same thing on the waistline, quarter of the hip of the waist measurement plus 1 inch for ease. And then also on the hip line, I'll enter quarter of the hip measurement plus 1 inch for ease also. So whatever I have on the hip line is what I'll be entering on the hem line. So I'm just going ahead to connect my points from hip to waistline and then from waist to bust point line. So now I'll confirm whatever it is I have on the hip line and take it down to the hem line. I'll be using exactly the same measurement. So this will work better for somebody with big hips. So if the person you're making this outfit for is slim, so you determine the width you want to have at the end, that's at the hem too. So this is for you to be able to move freely. So this is a plus size person. You can see that the measurement is really wide. So this is enough to accommodate her movement. So you can see I've connected my line from the hem line down to the hip line. Can you see what I have? So it's coming out well. So now at the side there, that's at the hem, I'm just going to create a curve. I don't want to leave it straight at that point. So I'm just going to use my free hand to create a curve. So just in case you want to know the measurements, at the end of the fabric there, at the other end, you can just come in by 6 inches and create your curve. So can you see what I'm doing? So I've just created my curve and we are good to go. So next I'm just going to go ahead and cut the back neckline first because the back neckline is higher than the front. So this is me cutting the shoulder slant now. So you can see here that this is where our bust point is. So I'm just going to measure from there to here. So you can see we have about 11 inches. So this will take care of I'll join the shoulder joining and also the sleeve opening. So my stitch will start from here. This is the bust point here. I'm going to be starting my stitch from 1 inch below the bust point. That's from this point. So the next thing we'll be doing now is to cut the sides, and I'll be starting from the down part, which is the hem. You see? So I haven't cut it out. Now I'm going to separate the back from the front so that I can now cut my front neckline. So I'll be cutting on the lower neckline, which is my 6 inches neckline. So here we are. Now we have both front and back neckline. So next, I'll just go ahead and cut the facings I'll be using to turn both front and back necklines. So it's just to cut your facing and then I'll show us the next thing to do. So right now, the first thing I'm going to do, remember that this is our shoulder line and here we have uh, half of the shoulder measurement plus the desired sleeve length. Half of my client's shoulder measurement is 9 inches, which is at this point. Can you see? So right now from this 9 inches, I'm going to measure what I have left here. Here I have 14 inches. So 14 inches. And the sleeve length I'm supposed to have is going to be 19 inches in length. It's a 3/4 sleeve. It's going to be 19 inches in length. So basically what I have here, this means I have 13 inches because I'll be using 1 inch to hem this side. That's for my sewing allowance on this side. So that's 13 inches at this point. So 19 minus 13, that's going to give me 6 inches. So that means we're looking for a sleeve length of 6 inches. But this sleeve will be fixed inwards. It will not be at this tip here. It's going to be fixed inwards. So I'm going to come inwards by 3 inches. So 6 plus that 3 inches, I'm going to come inwards. That will be 9 inches. Plus the hemming allowance of the sleeve, that will be 10 inches. So basically, the length of the sleeve I'm going to be cutting is 10 inches because I'll be placing it from around here. Can you see? So I'm placing it from around here to give me the length of that 19 inches, which is her 3/4 length. So determine the width of the sleeve is what I'll be using here is the measurement I have from this point. That's what will determine the width of this sleeve. So the width I have here is, can you see, it's 11.5. So by the time I join the shoulders with half inch, I'll be left with 11 inches. So the width of that sleeve is going to be 11 inches. And then I said that the length is going to be 10 inches. So I'm just going to bring in my lace now that we'll use to cut the sleeve. So I'm just going to shift this aside. So this is our lace that we'll be using to cut the sleeve. I already told us that the width of the sleeve is going to be 11 inches. So our 11 plus sewing allowance of 1 inch. So that's why we have 12 inches here now. So here is my 12 inches. And then the length of the sleeve plus hemming allowance, everything is going to be 10 inches. So I'm just going to use this savage. Let me make it 11 inches so that I can use fold with this savage also. And you see? So the sleeve opening here, that's the circumference here, is 13 inches. So 13 plus my 1 inch for my sewing allowance. So I'm just going to connect it like this. Can you see? So basically, can you see that this is a basic sleeve, but it doesn't have the sleeve cap because we are attaching it to a bubu. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out like this. Here is our basic sleeve. You can see that it's a basic sleeve but without the sleeve cap. So we also need to cut the flare that will be sewing on top of it. We're going to be cutting flares that will be sewing on top of it. We have two steps when I showed us at the beginning of the video on the mannequin. So we're going to be cutting two steps of that flare. But right now, I'm going to keep this aside so that we can cut the the lace that we'll be placing in front of our bubu. Then we'll come back later and cut that flare. This will make it easier for us so that we can shift away this fabric. But before I go ahead to cut the lace I'll be placing on top of this fabric, I'll be transferring my markings to the other side. Remember that I marked on the right side of my fabric. So I'm going to be transferring my marking to this side so that we have the same thing. Remember, we're going to be sewing on this part. That's why I'm using my school chalk so that it's just easy for me to wipe it off. You don't want to use our regular tailor's chalk and stain your outfit or your client's outfit. So I'm just going to bring my safety pins and then transfer the markings. So very easy way to transfer your markings. You need to just come here, pin this point. Can you see this is my the bust line here? Just pin this point to the waistline, pin the hip line, and then pin the hem. Can you see? So it's just very easy now. So when you just turn it to the right side like this, so all I need to do is to connect this pin to this point by using my ruler to mark. So this is where I have my first pin. I'm just going to connect it this way. Let me see. So this is where the hip line is. I'm going to connect it also this way. And then this is where the hem is. I'm also going to just connect it this way. Okay. So can you see that I've successfully transferred my markings and everything is okay now. So right now I can go ahead and remove my pins so I can separate the front from the back. So now we can now remove our back piece so that we can cut the front. So I folded my lace into two, you can see. So now I'm going to place the front piece on top of it. So you can see our neckline here. So I want to make sure that the center front are aligning. So next I'm just going to go ahead and cut the shoulder slant out like this. So I want this lace I'm going to be placing to drop like 2 inches below the shoulder. So you can see that this is where our shoulder measurement ends, the shoulder measurement ends. I'm just bringing it 2 inches below it. So this point is okay for me here. So, and then I'll go ahead and cut the neckline like this also. So now you can see that this is the point. So now that we have traced out our neckline, we'll raise it up so that we can create the shape of the lace we want to place on top of it. So I want it a little stylish. So I'm just going to do this. So from here, from the shoulder line, I want it to stop on her waistline. And her waistline is 17.5. So plus half inch for turning the lace. So that would be 18 inches. So I'm just going to mark my 18 inches here and then I'll go ahead and connect it to this point. So I want to just do something. I may not even cut this shape that I am marking. I want to just make it really nice. So I'm just going to do this now. Just ignore the shape that I'm doing. I'm going to just do it like this. Let me see if I can achieve something really fine. Okay. So this is what I have for now. I'm just going to curve it again. I'm going to make it like this. Okay. So I think I like what I have right now. Can you see? I like it. I don't want it just straight or just curved. I just want it to be like this. Just feel free to do what you want to do. This is just what I want to have. So now that we have this, so I'm going to just open up the front. Remember that we have separated the front from the back. I'm going to open up the front like this. You can see that I still have my marking there. So I'm just going to place the lace like this. This, you see? So this is what the lace looks like in front of it. Can you see that it's nice? So now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be folding in half inch like this. Just going to follow the shape like this. I'll fold in half inch. So I'm just going to bring in my ironing wood because that's what will help me to get the shape well. After folding it in with half inch, I'll use my hemming gum to press it down so that it will stick down before I'll take it to my sewing machine and stitch it down. So I'm going to do that and then show us, or I'll show us while I'm doing it. I just folded in half inch. You can see how I'm following the shape. So I'm just going to also tuck here in like this. All you need to do is just to fold half inch round. As you are placing your iron, just have something like this If you don't have a wood, all you need to do is just be using your hand to keep it down. But this wood actually has a way of making it come out neater. So just keep folding your half-inch round. Okay, so as you can see, I have successfully ironed my lace to the Ankara. So now I have the hemming gum. All I need to do is to lift it up gently, gently, and then place my hemming gum underneath so that it just sticks down. So because I have used my ironing wood to press it down, you see that this press I have here will not be shifting here and there. So as I raise it up, it just remains the way I left it. So I'm just going to place this hemming gum round. I'm going to place it round and also place on the neckline, and then iron it down and take it to my sewing machine and stitch it down. Then we'll continue. I've top stitched my lace. So can you see my thread lines at the back? So this hemming gum I used to gum it down made it a lot easier so that it doesn't keep shifting here and there. And you can see it came out really well. Can you see what I have here? So and I also went ahead to cut my facing. This is the facing I'll be using to turn the neckline here. Can you see? So this is my facing. And then also for the back, here is also my facing. This is my back. You can see I also have the marking of the side here. And this is also the facing I'll be using to turn the back. So I'm going to be placing the facing right side, facing right side. And I'll use it to turn the neckline, and then I'll go ahead and join the two shoulders together. So now it's time for us to cut our flare. That's the flare we'll be attaching to the sleeve. So let's keep this aside. So for the sleeve, what I did is this. I took the measurement. Remember that I said I'll be placing the sleeve inwards by 3 inches. So if I'm placing it inwards by 3 inches, so basically this is where my measurements will start from. So this is where the placement of the flare will start from. So I measured it, and what I have here is about 19.5 inches. So I divided that 19.5 inches by 6.28, and I got about 3 inches, 3 point something. So right now I went ahead to cut my flare. I cut the flare. Instead of using that 3 inches that I got, I used 4 inches. This is for me to be able to create tiny pleats. Can you see that the flare is on fold as it is? Can you see? It's on fold as it is. So because I'll be slashing it open, but you can see that it has almost completed this measurement. So by the time I slash it into two like this, by the time I slash it into two like this, you can see that it's quite longer. So I'll be able to create some pleats on top of the sleeve. So I'm going to fold my fabric and show us how to cut the flare. I already have two here. Remember, we have two steps. So I'm just going to fold over my fabric immediately and show us how to cut the flare. I'm using to achieve this flare is 4 inches, and the length of the flare is 4.5 inches. So this is what I have here. Can you see that I have my 4.5 inches here? So when I use half inch to turn the crinoline, half inch to sew it down, I'll be left with 3.5 inches. So here now, I'm going to check here. So you can see I have up to 8.5 inches, which is what I need. So I'm going to also fold it into two. Can you see I folded it into two and I have 8.5. I'll fold again this way into two. That's to achieve the fold of into four. So you can see that I have up to 8.5. So next, from this folded point, from this apex here, I'm going to mark 4 inches, 4 inches, which is the radius I'm using to be able to achieve some pleats. I'm making it wider than the sleeve. So I'll go ahead and mark my 4.5 inches, 4.5 inches, 4.5 inches, 4.5 inches. So you can see what I have here. So I'm just going to bring in my scissors and cut it out. Here we are. This is what our flare looks like. Can you see? So if I open up this way, you can see this part. You choose one of them and slash opened. So you can see how wide the flare is going to be. Can you see? So this is for me to be able to achieve the pleats on the sleeve. So I'm going to just cut the last one because I already have two. So I'll cut the last one so that I can achieve my two steps, and then we'll show us the next thing to do. After cutting my flare, I also went ahead to cut the lining of the flare. So now the next thing I'll be doing is I'll take this to my sewing machine, and then I'll sew my crinoline to the base of the lining. That's the lining of the flare. But before I start that, I'm going to use bias to cover up this place. You just want to cover this place with your bias and stitch it down. Or you use your masking tape to just cover this place. This is because this place is plastic, so it can poke the skin. You don't want to have that. It can be really inconveniencing if it touches you. So please make sure to use, even if it is your Ankara, use it to create bias, or you use your normal cotton bias. I'm going to be placing it at the base of the flare like this. I'll come up by 1/2 inch and then place it round and stitch it. And you see I'll stitch it at this base here, at this down part here. I'll sew it all the way to this other end, making sure that I leave 1/2 inch at the base. Once I'm done stitching it at this end here, I'm going to also top stitch this side to hold. So I've sewn my crinoline to the base of my flare, the lining, and you can see I've joined the main and the Ankara and the lining fabric. So, and I also sewed this side and sewed this side. So you can see how I use my bias to close up the sides to turn the. So now I'm going to turn it now to the right side like this. So this is what it looks like on the right side. Next thing to do is to give it a good press and then stitch this part down before weaving, which is what I have done here already. Can you see? Can you see what I have? I've done that already, and I've woven the the opening here. I've done that for the remaining others too. You can see. So now the next thing I'm going to do, remember that the sleeve will be sewn, that will go in 3 inches into the bubu. So I'm just going to mark my 3 inches here. So I'm just going to mark my 3 inches here. So here I have my 3 inches mark. So after marking my points, this is the first 3 inches. So now to place our flare on it. Remember I added a seam allowance of 1 inch. Remember I added a seam allowance of 1 inch. So here I'm just going to mark my 1 inch. I don't want the flare to go into the side seam allowance. So I want it to stop before the seam allowance. So here is my side seam allowance of 1 inch. So I'm just going to do the same thing too on this side, and just mark it also like this. So now that I have my side seam allowance, remember I've woven the tip of my flare already. So I'm just going to place it like this. Can you see? I'm just going to place it like this first. So I'll pin this one down like this. Then next, you just want to create pleats. Remember that my flare is wider than the actual sleeve. So I'm just going to pleat, just create tiny pleats. You can just do it randomly. So I'm pleating it here. So I'll give some space again like I did for this one. I'll give space, and then the next one I'll pleat it. So this pleat I'm doing is more, it's knife pleat. So it's just going to move, it's just going to face one direction. So I'm just going to pleat again. I want to just give some space. So you can see that the space I'm leaving, they are even. So here, what I left here is about 3 inches, and you can see this is also 3 inches. So it's something that just watch it so that you don't, so that the difference is not much. So and you can see that my pleat is about 1 inch. I'm going to still leave the same space of 3 inches. So here is my 3 inches, and then I'll create the next pleat. So can you see? So this is what our flare looks like. So just like I did for this first one, it's exactly the same thing I'll be repeating for the second one. The second one is likely going to be fuller, not likely, it's going to just be a little fuller because the down part is narrower compared to the upper part. So I'm going to do that and show us. So I've stitched my flare to the sleeve. Can you see? This is what I have. So I had to take it up a little. Remember, I came down by 3 inches, so I had to lose it to bring it up to 2 inches so that the base can cover the starting point of the second one. So can you see that now it is actually covering it well? That time it was showing, so I don't want it to be showing. So this is what it looks like right now. You can see it's not showing. And I repeated the same thing on this side. Can you see? So next now we'll bring in the gown. Okay, like I said, I've joined the shoulder and I've also hemmed the sides. I've also hemmed the sides and I've also hemmed the down part. To fix our sleeve, I'm going to place it and I'll go inward from this part. So this is our shoulder joining. Can you see? I've joined it and I've also woven it. I'm going to use hemming gum on the facing at the back. So I'm going to just mark my, since I have hemmed this part, I'll just mark 2.5 inches here. Can you see? So I'm going to mark my 2.5 inches from the shoulder joining. I went in by 2.5 inches. And then I'm going to mark, remember that the width of our sleeve, let's just measure it. And you can also see that the sleeve, I've also sewn the upper part. Okay? And I also hemmed the down part too. So I'm just going to measure it this way. So basically what I have here, I have about 23 inches in all. I'll be using 1 inch for my sewing allowance. So since I'll be using 1 inch for my sewing allowance, that means 23 minus 2 inches, that will be 21 inches. So I'm going to be marking 10.5 this way and 10.5 this way from this shoulder joining. So I'm going to place my tape from the shoulder joining like this and mark here up to this 10.5, and then here too I'll mark this way. So here's my 10.5. So the remaining is going to be my sewing allowance. So I'm just going to connect this point like this. You see? So having done that, I'm just going to now bring in the sleeve and place it, get the midpoint first. So here is the midpoint of the sleeve. So I'll mark the midpoint like this. So I'm just going to bring it here like this and then stitch it down. Stitch it this way. So I'm just going to use my pin to pin it down. At this point, you can see that I still have my sleeve remaining, which is going to be my sewing allowance. So I'm just going to do that now. Pin. So this is my sewing allowance here. I also pin this side also like this. You see? So I'm going to, let me pin here too. So can you see? I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and stitch it down like this. This is what will appear in front. So can you see that this, the butterfly, that's the gown itself, you can see is covering the stitch of the flare. Can you see? So this is what we want to achieve. We want it to just come out like this and this covering it. And then of course the lace showing at this end. So I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side. Then take it to my sewing machine and stitch it and come back and show us. So right now, as you can see, I've stitched the sleeve to the gown. And you see, this is my stitch on the right side. and this is it here inside. You can see that I left my sewing allowance. So all I need to do now is to make sure that you shift this gown away, and then I'm going to flip it like this. This is my sewing allowance. Just going to flip it right side, facing right side like this. So you can see I'm pinning only the lace. So I'm going to do this and bring it here like this. This is it like this. So can you see what I have here? So I'm placing it right side, facing right side. This is the hem of our sleeve. Can you see? So I'm going to pin it this way. So can you see? I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and stitch on one end. So by the time I'm done stitching, this is what it will look like on the right side. So I'll repeat the same thing for the other side. So I've stitched the sleeve. Can you see? So I just stitched only my lace. So let me bring it down so that we can see. So can you see? This is what we have here. So if you want to, you can just use your needle and thread to tack this place. That this is the gown, this is the butterfly, so that it just stays on top of this. But I won't be doing that because it's covering it already for me. Okay, so okay. So here now, I see after doing that, we're almost done with our gown. Remember, I've stitched the sides. As I've hemmed the side and even the down part, I've done that. I'll be fixing hemming gum on the neckline later, as I'll be using it to gum the facing down to sew the sides. You can see that I have my markings here. So all I need to do now is to confirm from the shoulder line here where the bust point is. Her bust point is 11.5. So placing my tape from here, and see where my 11.5 is. So that's where I'm going to start stitching from. I'll be following this marking that I have here all the way down to the hem. Remember that I've already hemmed the downside. So you want to just make sure to pin. You don't want one to be longer than the other. Just open it up like this. Make sure that the hems here, that both hems for both front and back, they are equal. So can you see? You see me maintaining my curve. You don't want to pin it in a way that one side will be outward, the other side will be inward. You don't want to make that kind of mistake. So I'm just going to pin it like this. So I'll pin it down and pin the hem here. So you can see, I'm just going to follow this marking that I have here and stitch it down all the way down. Of course, I'll have to repeat the same thing for the other side. That was why we marked the back side. So I will stitch it down from the bust point all the way down to the hem, iron this dress, put my hemming gum on the neckline and then on the facing, and then come back and show us what we have. So here's the outcome of our beautiful gown. Can you see how beautiful this boo came out? It came out really well. And I've also ironed the facing using my hemming glue so that it just sticks nicely and it will not be coming out. And you can see I also went ahead to stone the bodies with my Swarovski stones. So you can see how it's glittering. The sleeve is also coming out really well. This gown is giving all it should give. So we have come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned a thing or two from this video. If you did, please like this video, share this video with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also put on your notification bell so you get notified once I post a new video. And before I forget, subscription is free, so please ensure to subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.